Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. In today's video, is going to be going over the best Warlock talent builds in Mythic Plus, as well as rating for Affliction, Destruction, and Demonology in patch 11.1. If you guys want any of the builds, link to talents down below in the description. All the builds individually. Let's get it going. Now, I do want to mention, if you guys want up-to-date talent builds, even if you're watching this video a month or two after it came out, my website, kalamazi.gg, not a shameless plug, just realistically it's here, has talent builds for Affliction, Demonology, Destruction, as well as an M+ section and a section under Liberation from Undermine, which brings up every single build for AF, Demo, Destro, raid testing videos, whatever you want for Warlock resources, talents, rotations, all that stuff's on the website here as well, if this video is a little, dated from when you're watching it. But regardless, let's get into it. Now, I want to start off with Affliction here. We're going to look at single target as well as AoE or Mythic Plus builds, a little bit of Cleave mixed in certain areas too, if applicable. Now, for the most part, you're seeing not a whole lot of Soul Harvester Affliction play. You're seeing a little bit in the raid when it comes to getting some Soul Rot Cleave on things like Rick Reverb. There's some play on, obviously you're playing a lot of AF on One Arm Bandit, but Rick Reverb, some play on Vexy and the Gear Grinders, getting a lot of Soul Harvester Soul Rot Cleave due to Shadow of Death, giving you 3 shards whenever you cast Soul Rot, and they are succulent. Succulent soul shards that are spent do more damage through Malefic Rapture. So we've seen a good bit of Soul Harvester play there. If you're looking at playing Soul Harvester in a single target, the build looks something like this. You're playing Absolute Corruption, Haunt, improved Haunt, so on and so forth. For the most part, not a whole lot really changed from playing Soul Harvester last patch. And honestly, this build's played in most Cleave-based settings too. You're getting things like Dark Harvest value, things like Xavius' Gambit with your tier set, buffing all the UAs that spread. It's a good single target build, as well as having some reach with Soul Rot, Dark Harvest, Cleave if you're hitting multiple targets, like on Vexy, like on Vexy, like on Styx, you're playing it there. I've seen some play it there, and a lot on the other fight we were talking about a moment ago, Rick Reverb, with the actual barrel spawning on Heroic and higher. When it comes to M+ with Soul Harvester, not a whole lot really changes here. You play Vital Taint over Singularity. You're not playing Infirmity. People are playing Death's Embrace, shifting a point down here into the final row, giving you a whole 10 talent points in that third gate. And there's a debate between Shadowbolt and Drain Soul here. Now, Drain Soul is the higher swimming ability when it comes to single target for Soul Harvester and like priority damage output, but at the same time, Soul Harvester focuses a lot on Nightfall, spending Nightfall stacks. And when you have multiple targets active, multiple Nightfall procs, so on and so forth, which is, whenever Corruption does damage, you have a lot of procs coming in. Improved Shadowbolt being instant cast helps you dump those procs a lot faster in M+, which can lead to potentially more crescendo procs, not over cap on Nightfall stacks, so on and so forth. A lot of people are playing Shadowbolt for Soul Harvester in M+. Now, when it comes to Hellcaller, this is the build you're playing a lot in. I've seen Hellcaller AF played in a good bit of single target settings as well. The real thing I want to hit on here, it's very similar to Soul Harvester ST. Some things change a little bit. You're playing more points in things like Contagion, Malediction, due to Wither being very strong. Wither replaces Corruption for Affliction, very strong dot. Rotationally, it's relatively similar. You don't get shards off of Soul Rot like you do with Soul Harvester whenever you cast it through Shadow of Death. But the big thing with Hellcaller in single target is Siphon Life does theoretically sim higher than Absolute Corruption. It's 15% damage increase compared to 30 here with Siphon Life, but AC gives you permanent Wither. So if you're more interested in just playing, hey, like a permanent Wither, even in single target for Hellcaller Affliction, you can do that without a massive loss in a single target, but Siphon Life does sim a little higher for ST Hellcaller builds. Besides that, when it comes to M+, shifting gears a bit here, once again, not playing Singularity, playing Vital Taint here. I am playing Drain Soul in this build currently, but I will say when it comes to Hellcaller in general, in single target, Shadowbolt is the stronger effect. Now, like we talked about with Soul Harvester and M+, if you want to play Shadowbolt in M+, that's more than fine. People are playing a decent bit now, but you won't have the shard sniping ability you have with Drain Soul. Being able to drain a mob on slow gives you a shard back, and whenever you cast Soul Rot as Hellcaller, you don't have the shards coming in like you do with Soul Harvester, so you have to play things accordingly and keep your shard economy in mind heading from one pack to the next. Besides that, though, same thing. You're playing Soul Rot. You've got Malign Omen, Dark Harvest for some Soul Rot, Crit Haste Cleave, Xavius' Gambit, buffing your tier set, and Malevolence being your 1-minute cooldown here. And for the most part, there's some things that might change on certain boss fights in the raid tier. I encourage you once again to check the website under the Liberation from Undermine section if you want like very specific builds. But for the most part, honestly, that's AF with Soul Harvester and Hellcaller in single targets and in M+. Now, shifting gears a bit here and getting into Demonology Warlock, I have talent builds here for Diabolist Demonology. I'm going to say right now, I'll link Soul Harvester builds below. You play Diabolist in both Mythic Plus as well as Rating, but Soul Harvester is not that bad. It's not much lower simming, I think, when it comes to AoE and single target, and the rotation's the same for the most part, barring, Diabolist giving you these empowered spells every so often. Whenever you tyrant with Soul Harvester, you get 3 shards by a Shadow of Death. When you spend those shards, they empower your hand of Gul'dans, doing a lot of damage. It has a similar damage profile, and rotationally it plays pretty much the same. I cover that in the actual guides on the channel as well, if you want those down below in the channel, or I guess the video description. Now, when it comes to Diabolist Demonology, and just Demonology in general, talent-wise, once again, same talents for Diabolist and Soul Harvester. Demonology has to path through Implosion to get to the further parts of the tree here. You're pathing through some AoE, is what it is. Some classes are built different. You're playing things that are a bit more single target based in the single target build, like Sack Souls, like Imperator here. You're still playing things like Dreadlash, obviously Spiteful Recon, Demonic Strength over Bombers in basically every setting. I will say if you don't like Strength and want to play Bombers, it is relatively close in M+. When we get to that, but you're playing Strength in single target. Grimoire Felguard is back. I haven't had him dying this patch to random abilities like I had in previous patches a whole lot, so I think that bug is fixed, I believe. And then getting further onto the tree here, playing Power Siphon, things like Expendables, just single target-esque based abilities. Going into Vile Fiend, which turns into Purple Dog or Red Dog, purple in single target, red in AoE and plus, and other abilities that empower things like Houndmaster's Gambit, Flame Touched, Foul Mouth, Shadow Touched, so on and so forth. Now, 2 things I want to hit on here. Number 1 is Dread Calling. So previously last year, we were playing this point over here in Entoran Armaments, but this works with our 2-piece and 4-piece tier set that empowers the greater Dreadstalker. Whenever it's summoned or if it procs randomly, it will indeed get value from Dread Calling, which has pushed this ahead of Entoran, I think by about 40k or so, from what I've seen, if I remember right, in a single target. At the same time, if you're playing a single target-esque Cleave-based build, where you have some ads spawning every so often, people are often pulling a point out of Imperator and hopping over here into Anillion Training for Felguard damage. This used to sim higher than Imperator in general in single target, but they buffed Imps, I believe, right before the patch dropped, which pushed Imperator ahead slightly, I think by about 10k, give or take, in single target. So if you're looking at playing Demonology in single target, this is where I would be, with not a whole lot of changes really even being optional due to how talents are structured and what our tier set looks like this tier. Now, when it comes to M+, a couple of talents shift here. You'll see I'm shifting when I change right now. You are changing. Pulling out of Sack Souls, pulling out of Imperator, hopping over here into Anillion Training. Like we talked about, Felguard cleaving. He decleaves a lot, so more relevant there than Imps doing damage in single target. And you're also playing Shadow Invocation. So you're basically pulling these points here, and hopping into Anillion Training and Shadow Invocation. Sorry. Now, when it comes to Shadow Invocation, if you're in mass AoE, there's a certain cap, or not cap, but a certain number of mobs where just casting 1-shard Hand of Gul'dans is actually more relevant because it does proc Bombers. The more targets Hand of Gul'dan hits, the higher chance Invocation has to proc. We'll cover that in the video in the future, a little bit in the guide as well, we already talked about, but in mass AoE, Invocation gains a lot of value. Now, once again, looking at the single target build here, besides that, these 2 shift and this shifts, right? Back to M+, not much here really changes. You swap your purple dog at the bottom here to Faharg, the red dog. He twerks fire damage, does solid damage overall. He does work with Tyrant, so on and so forth. Now, some people are also playing Entoran over Dread Calling here. I think M+ is even more of a place to play Dread Calling over Entoran due to how much dogs cleave. They do a very large bit of your damage, and I think Dread Calling is definitely the nod here over Entoran. I've also seen some people playing no points in Arid Druin and putting a point over here in Entoran. I don't think this is right. Now, it might, I don't even know if it sims higher in AoE. It might by a little bit to play Entoran or Pact of the Arid Druin, but this has been buffed a decent bit. Like, it's been buffed 3 or 4 times, I think, since late beta. And obviously you spread multiple dooms in M+. When they pop, they do damage around them, similar to your S3, S4 tier bonus in Dragonflight. But the Doomguard does a good bit of damage in single target when he procs. I think it's like 5 to 6% of my breakdown overall in single target, just from this talent node solely, not including Impending Doom, not including Doom itself, right? So when it comes to the talent build in M+, I've seen some do this. I don't like it. I think this is the more well-rounded build. Demonology already has a lot of stat cleave with Philostorm, Demonic Strength, Hand of Gul'dan, Implosion, Dogs, everything, right? I think getting a bit more single target out of your Doom and like all that through Pact of the Arid Druin is where you want to be for M+, looking at Demonology heading on into later parts of 11.1. Now, in similar fashion to Demonology, Destruction for talents here, I only have Hellcaller in my current list here, but I will show you how Diabolist looks and link it down below as well. The talents really don't change if you're playing Diabolist in single target or AoE compared to Hellcaller in single target AoE. Diabolist spawns in demons, pit lords, mothers of chaos, spell lords that empower spells and do big damage on their own, but Hellcaller is exceptionally strong with Wither, with Malevolence. Cataclysm is uncapped. It will apply Wither to 1 mob or 1 billion mobs. However many mobs Cata hits, it will apply Wither to them all. Wither is very strong dot, it replaces Immolate for us, and Malevolence causes those Withers to do more damage, giving you haste every minute. Very strong profile. Now, when it comes to single target, this is the build that's being played in single target currently for Hellcaller Destro. Diabolist was very close. It was ahead of Hellcaller in single target. I believe they're just about neck and neck now. And when it comes to like Warcraft logs and things, you're seeing a lot of Hellcaller Diabolist play, even on fights like Sprocketmonger. Now, the key differences here from what you've seen from PTR and things, Channel Demon Fire does indeed sim higher, but when it comes to sims versus actuality, sims are a great tool when the raid is full of movement and cleave and everything else. You're moving constantly. Shadowburn being behind by 40k, whatever it is, compared to Channel Demon Fire, Shadowburn's going to get the nod. Just is. I mentioned this a lot during later stages of PTR. Yeah, it's simming better, but in the end, you're probably not going to play it a whole lot. You're going to play Shadowburn due to damage profiles, how you can spend shards in the move, not even factoring in like later execute clauses and things being even stronger than it actually is. You path through Cata, get into your tree further here. You're playing Reign of Chaos. I will say Crashing Chaos does sim higher, but it feels awkward at times playing Crashing Chaos when a fight's ending and you're infernaling and you feel like you need to dump multiple bolts to get Chaos Bolt value, but you want a Shadowburn. It's coming off cooldown quite often due to Fiendish Cruelty, and you're forced to like Chaos Bolt and the boss dies with stacks left. It's just awkward. A lot of people are still playing Reign of Chaos due to that. So am I. Besides that, you're playing things like Soulfire, you're playing a point in Burn to Ashes, you're playing Ruin, Diabolic Embers, things like Avatar Destruction. If you played Destro the last year or so, it's the same thing, pretty much, in single target. Now, when you're looking to cleave in a like Havoc-based cleave setting, whether you're playing Malevolence or Mayhem, very easy to change the build. I don't even have it listed here because it's so simple. You go like this. Done. There's your Havoc cleave build. If there are 2 targets in the raid and you're cleaving with Havoc like on Vexy or Cauldron or Rick or Styx or One-Armed Bandit or Bugsy or Gallowix, every fight basically but Sprocketmonger Lock and Stock, you're playing either Mayhem or Havoc. Now, the website has more in-depth builds for each fight. You can grab it. Will say it will copy if you're playing Mayhem or Havoc. Mayhem's more of like an uncontrolled cleave. It can proc multiple times back to back and chain for a long time. It might not proc at all. They did buff the proc rate of Mayhem in this patch. They increased the duration of Havoc to 15 from 12 as well this patch. Havoc's more controlled cleave on fights like Rick Reverb. If you want control cleave on the barrels whenever they spawn, Havoc's where you're going to want to be. On a fight like Vexy or Styx, when it's ad spawning constantly, you're just like cleaving and things, probably play Mayhem in those scenarios. But this is the build you look to play if you're more of a Destro cleave based setting in the raid. Now, when it comes to M+, you have 2 builds here. I'm going to show you the Hellcaller M+ build I've been playing. I think this is the better build when it comes to Mythic Plus currently. People are going to debate this at the end of time. Whatever you want to play, have fun. Some are playing Soulfire and Plus. I think that's pretty much just strictly wrong. Could be wrong, but I'm not playing Ari's builds. I'm going to show here first the Hellcaller M+ build playing Shadowburn. Now, Shadowburn is what you play in single target, but at the same time, I'm playing it here as well in the M+ build. Big difference here. We're also playing Channel Demon Fire. Cataclysm applies Wither every target that it hits. Whether it's Wither for Hellcaller or Immolate for Diabolist, if you want to play that for whatever reason, CDF, whenever you cast it through RDF and Demon Fire Mastery, will cast faster and extend the duration of all of your active Withers, or Immolates, which are mass applied by Corruption. It also does a decent bit of damage, stat cleave, it's solid all around. You basically hit it on cooldown, and that's that. This sucks. Don't worry about it. They way over nerfed it. It was bugged, TLDR. Shadowburn provides a lot of low health mob sniping, general cleave in M+, priority damage, movement in M+, a bit more single target, relevant single target movement in M+. It supplements the profile well in areas it feels like it's missing relevant damage, like, you know, cleave damage when it comes to Havoc stuff, shard sniping, just in general, even like 2 or 3 target pulls. I'll just throw Shadowburns. If Mayhem procs, I'm throwing Shadowburns left and right in M+, right? unless you're in mass AoE. I think it supplements the profile well and helps fill in some holes that it's missing in M++. It also stacks Black on Soul faster, which is a talent over here through Hellcaller if you're spamming, you know, Shadowburns at some point in a fight, whatever. You'll see some people just saying, hey, I don't want to play Shadowburn. I don't like it. I don't think it's good, so on and so forth. You might see some just playing, you know, 2 points in Soulfire Decimation and a point being thrown somewhere else. I don't think Soulfire is as good at M+ as this build here at all. I think this is the most well-rounded build. If you don't like Shadowburn, you can play this build here. Hellcaller Rifts. So Rift is, it's playing Dimension Ripper, RNG, periodic damage from Wither has a chance to spawn a Rift. Obviously, multiple targets with Wither on them, multiple chances to spawn Rifts. Rifts do cleave through unstable Rifts. At the same time, when they spawn, they generate 3 Soul Shard fragments. It's RNG. Now, obviously, in mass AoE, you're going to probably spawn more Rifts than you do in a single target. There's some weird bug with it and some ratio where it procs more than others. It's about the same, I'd say, maybe slightly worse overall damage output, like for a relevant profile when it comes to Destro M+, but you're not playing Shadowburn. If you don't like Shadowburn, you don't gotta play it. At the same time, these 2 points essentially go here. This 3rd point goes into Fire and Brimstone, which is actually relevant. Incinerate hits relatively hard, a bit more shard gen and AoE if the Incinerates crit off Fire and Brimstone because you're cleaving multiples. This build is just like, hey, put a Kata down, cast CDF, spam Rain of Fires, cast Incinerates in between Rain of Fire, so on and so forth, and go from there. When it comes to bosses, though, and things, you're not going to have that Shadowburn relevancy when you're moving, when you're hitting, you know, a priority mob or a boss. At the same time, when packs are dying, like when mobs are low, I'm Shadowburning like crazy playing this build here. A lot of value, especially if Mayhem procs and like death windows, a lot of value there, a lot of prio, big burst damage in a single target. This build doesn't really have that. You're still just casting Rain of Fires and trying to squeeze in Chaos Bolts when mobs are 10%. Cast them Chaos Bolt, not the best. But regardless, if you want a general, like, set it and forget it kind of build for Destro, without playing Shadowburn, I would look to play Hellcaller Rifts. It's fun, honestly. They're probably going to buff it at some point because Rifts are just not working right. Fix the bugs, whatever. But if you like Rifts, or don't want to play Shadowburn, play this build here too. All the same. Links down below. And also, I wanted to hit on the class tree here. I forgot to mention it in each section, but we'll do one, like, you know, just general section here. Ignore that we're playing Destro. When it comes to class tree, honestly, in M+, like, there's a couple of utility nodes you might want. Banish being very good Motherload. I believe you can banish light spawns and Signet, or Priory, Sacred Flame, that dungeon right there. Shadow Fury, obviously wanted. When it comes to things like Swift Artifice for a faster res, there is some utility in Plus that Warlock is, you know, decent at, right? Now, when it comes to like finding these talent points, I don't really play Points of Fiendish Stride. I think this is actually not a very good talent. I think it's way over nerfed from when it was in Dragonflight. So typically I pull this point in M+ and toss it into like Shadow Fury. And then honestly, on the other point, depending on what it is, I've seen players pull points from Demonic Fortitude if they want like Swift Artifice, or if they want something else along the lines of like maybe Banish at the same time. Having 1 point here in Sargerai Technique is also a potential option, putting the point back up here in Fortitude. But I think for the most part, unless you're doing like super high keys and trying to find more value with utility as well as finding more stamina, playing a build like this, I'd just opt for something like this. At the same time, if you don't need value like, hey, a shorter combat res, you can just throw it back up here in Fortitude, and you're good to go. But the Warlock class tree is not very flexible when it comes to talent points. You have too many 2-point talent nodes being 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and a lot of like sort of bloated points in certain areas you don't really need anymore. So pathing wise, not the best, but with a couple changes here and there, a bit of stamina stacked as well. You can get some utility in Banish and things like Artifice if you want, so on and so forth. That's applicable to basically, well, every spec when it comes to M+. Thanks for watching, guys. Wraps it up. Hopefully the video wasn't too long, and hopefully it helped clarify a bit more on talent builds and what the, you know, best looking talent builds currently are in patch 11.1, with 11.1.5 on the horizon, hopefully in, I don't know, a month or so, give or take. The builds aren't that different from what they were in the guide videos that came out about a month ago or so, but things have changed a tiny bit. The Rifts build for Destro is sort of new. It was around, but I wasn't really played a whole lot. It's new, it's fun, and I wanted to get it to y'all because I've getting a lot of questions about it over the past a couple days, give or take. So if y'all want any week orders or add-ons or anything, or support on Patreon, links up here as well as down below in the video description. Like I said, I want to give one thank you to all my supporters on Patreon for all the support, guys. Like always, every video, thank y'all so much for all of it. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing, making videos, and just I No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, it does mean a lot to me in my weird, twisted Florida man heart. Yeah, so I would venture to guess within the next month or so, we're probably getting into 11.15 PTR stuff, like more, or getting into like getting close to release at this point. I don't really expect a whole lot of lock changes to come. I'm gonna try and get a video out this weekend on maybe some lesser points we can hit on for maybe some quality of life for lock in 0.15, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be 11.2 if things come for lock at this point, or just 12.0. And as crazy as it is, we're probably, I mean, 11.2 is hitting in August, right? March, April, yeah, I would assume August, right? I don't know anything, no leaks there, but I mean, 6 months from now is August, and that's about the table they're on. We're going to be in 11.2 PTR probably in like a couple months, give or take. I mean, it's already April, basically. We've already April, yeah, probably like June at some point. Time's gonna fly by. M+ looks good this season. Hopefully, you're excited for it, because I am too. So, a lot on the horizon, and I'm excited. So, thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, hit the like and sub buttons below. Helps out a ton. Pushing for 100K on YouTube this year as well. If we get there, awesome. If not, hey, I love you all the same. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.